I should have known the night would go sideways the moment my phone buzzed with a text meant for her. I was waiting in the car, engine running, picking her up from work. She left her phone in the cup holder when she ran back inside to finish something urgent. The screen lit up, and her name never had a password, but this time it did. The notification only showed a sentence preview. Tell your husband you're staying late again. You know why. My stomach twisted. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I just sat there staring at the lock screen, feeling like the sidewalk had cracked under me. When she finally came back, she acted like nothing had happened, slipping into the passenger seat, kissing my cheek, her smile a little too tight. I told myself I was overthinking. It was our anniversary. For God's sake, people didn't destroy anniversaries, right? But the signs had been stacking one by one. The muted calls, the late nights, the way she'd take her phone with her even to the bathroom. Screen held down, thumb hovering like it was something precious. And me? I tried to be understanding, supportive, the kind of man who didn't jump at shadows. But shadows kept jumping at me. We had reservations at her favorite restaurant, a quiet place with warm lighting and soft jazz and linen napkins she always insisted were fancy. I'd planned everything. Roses on the table, a small gift tucked in my jacket pocket, and a speech in my head about how much she meant to me. We walked in, and I felt proud of myself for holding it together, even though my stomach still burned with that text I wasn't supposed to see. Then her boss was there. I didn't know he'd be joining us. She never mentioned it, and he appeared out of nowhere, greeting her with a familiarity that set every nerve in me buzzing. He touched her arm. Not casually, not professionally, but like someone who believed he had ownership. Didn't think you'd actually bring him, he joked, eyes skimming over me like I was an afterthought. My wife stiffened. I didn't bring, he's my husband. Her voice sounded small, like she was apologizing for something. We sat. The atmosphere turned thick and strange. He ordered for her without asking, called her by a nickname I'd never heard, and kept leaning in to whisper comments only she could hear. Every time they laughed, a part of me chipped away. But I stayed silent. I watched. I studied the way she kept her phone face down, the way she avoided my eyes, the way her shoulders flinched when he touched her again. Then, halfway through dinner, he lifted his glass and smirked. Well, he said loudly enough for nearby tables to turn, at least tonight she's yours. But you know how it is, he glanced at me, smiling like a man who'd never been punched. During the day, she's mine. At work, the room froze. My chest felt like something caved inward. People looked. Some laughed awkwardly. Some stared at their plates. And me? I waited for her to say something. Anything. To defend me. To defend us. Instead, she sighed, closed her eyes slowly, and said something I'll never forget. Can we not do this here? Not he's wrong. Not that's inappropriate. Not I'm your wife. Just a tired, embarrassed plea to stop. Because the truth was closer to his version than mine. He leaned back, practically victorious. I felt the ground drop. The rest of the dinner blurred. My thoughts spiraled. Every late night, every odd excuse, every guarded text. They weren't shadows. They were warnings. After dessert arrived, though none of us touched it, I excused myself and walked out to the parking lot, needing air, space, something that didn't hurt. She followed a minute later, breath fogging in the cool night. Please don't make this bigger than it is, she whispered. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it shattered something inside me. Tell me, I said quietly, is he lying? Her silence was my answer. Her eyes glossed over. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It started with long hours. He listened when I felt lonely. You were always tired, always distracted. I held up a hand. Stop blaming me for your choices. She broke then, tears falling, apologies spilling, excuses bleeding into confessions. She said it wasn't physical, just emotional, just comfort. But comfort with someone else is still betrayal. I told her I couldn't stay married to a version of me she no longer respected. She tried to hold me. I stepped back. That was the moment her face crumpled. The moment she realized the bridge between us had burned down to ashes. I drove home alone that night. packed a bag, slept on my brother's couch for the next few weeks. And while divorce wasn't easy, it was cleaner than staying in a life built on half-truths. Months later, I ran into someone who knew her boss. Turns out he'd moved on quickly. Another employee, another friendship. It stung. But it also healed me, knowing problem was never my worth. It was his pattern, and her willingness to let him fill spaces that belonged to honesty. These days, I'm rebuilding, slower, wiser, with a heart stitched back together in a way that's stronger than before. And sometimes I think back to that anniversary dinner, the warmth of the restaurant, the cold shock of betrayal, the way she looked at me when she realized what she'd thrown away. It hurts, yeah, but it also reminds me of something I learned the hard way. Love can survive mistakes, but trust, once it breaks, it rarely finds its way back.